All right, we are going to make a profile cut again. This time, just cutting maybe an arc out of the side of a project. So we'll open up VCarve and let's create a new file and we'll make the width. Let's go width is 6 inches wide. Let's make the height is, whoops, not 86. Let's make it 8. Let's go, the height is 15 and 3/4 inch thick material. And this is really important because we're going to, with the profile cut, we're cutting the whole way through the material. So we want to make sure that we have the thickness correctly, because when we do the tool path, we have to know how thick to cut through. Because we're cutting the whole way through the material, we have to be able to put a backer board behind. So when we clamp onto the CNC machine, we're going to put a board down first, that, and then we'll clamp our board on top of that other. That way it will, when we cut all the way through the material, we're not cutting into the CNC machine itself. We're cutting into air, so to speak. Want this XY at 0, and we'll hit OK. All right, so in this particular case, let's say that I want to cut a line from here to here. I'm going to cut portion of this wood off. So I'm just going to go with a straight line here, which would be this one right here. And I'm going to go from here down to here. And I'm going to highlight it so I can see. And okay, so there's my line right there. Now, if I really zoom in, I can see if I got all the way to the edge or not. Looks like I did. I can move that if I haven't. And I can do this by scrolling in and out with my mouse. I'm going to move this a little bit out of the way here. And then I can scroll in to see if I got all the way down to the line, which I did. Okay. So that's one thing. Let's say on the top, I want to have a design. I could make an arc like so. If I drew an arc, I could go, like, let's say I want to start there. I could go to there and then over to here. And I have an arc. Now that's not a very straight line there, but I could do an arc like that. Um, uh, but I don't like that, how it seems like it's higher here than here. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to delete that out of there. I could put in guidelines, and I'm just going to show you some of these things quickly, and then you kind of know how to use them. So guidelines are here. I could insert a horizontal guideline, and all this is it lets me, it's just a straight line across. It's not being carved or anything. It's just a guideline. So I'm going to cut a guideline, excuse me. I'm going to do an arc. So I'm going to start on here, right on that guideline, go to the center, and then go right to here. So now I know that I have that arc is a little better. Okay. I could apply that, but again, this is not what I want. I'm going to delete this out of here. Instead, I want to make, I'm going to delete, I want to make more of a customized thing. So I don't need this guideline anymore. So I'm going to delete that guideline. So I'm going to go with this tool right here. I'm going to start right in the middle. And I'm going to go a little bit and make kind of my own little curves. And stop it right there. Now, let's say I want an identical one on the other side. I can click on it and I can use this mirror button right here and I can flip it right. And now I have the exact same thing on the other side. So this will be the exact same design. Now, the problem is that they're not connected and they have to be connected. Okay, so to connect it, I hold the shift down and click on both of them. Now they're both red. And now I should be able to use this one, join with either a straight line or with a smooth curve. And I'm going to go with a smooth curve. So I'm going to click that. Now, this is one part. Okay, so I want to cut this design out and I want to cut this off of it. All right, now when I go to clamp things on, I have to be careful where I clamp. I don't want to clamp where my clamps are going to get hit by the machine. So not only do I have to have a backer board, I can't put a clamp right in this area because obviously that will get hit by the router. So I have to be very conscious of where I'm clamping. I can clamp on these corners as long as I put tabs in here. I can clamp, like put a clamp here. I can put a clamp here, but I want to make sure it's firmly clamped. Okay, so let's say, so this is what I want. So I'm going to make two cuts here. First one is this one. I'm going to go to toolpath. I'm going to go to profile. Start depth is 0. Now it is 3/4 of an inch thick, but I want to cut it just a little deeper. And I feel okay by cutting it a hair deeper because I know I have that backer board on it. So I'm going to go 0.76. I'm going to use the end mill. Now you have to use an end mill when you're using um, a profile cut. I have different end mills I could use. So I can use an 1/8 inch, a 1/4 inch, a 3/8, and a 1/2, assuming that we have them all. We have the 1/8, 1/4, and 1/2 right now. Now, by the time you're making this, this may have switched, but right now we have multiple ones. I'm just going to leave it at the 1/4 inch end mill. Um, that's the one I'm going to use, but I could use these other ones. So I'm going to select that one. Now, when I make this cut, I could cut on the outside, the inside, or on the line. Now, I believe I want to cut on the inside of this one. I know it seems like the outside, but trust me, I think I want to cut on the inside. I want to add tabs. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to edit tabs, and I'm going to put a tab right here and another one here. Those tabs will hold this in place. It won't cut it the whole way through. Okay, I'm going to close. I am going to change this to straight. I'll just call it a straight cut, whatever I want to call it. And I'm going to calculate. Now it's going to say, wait a minute, this doesn't line up. I said my thickness was 3/4 inch and I went a little bit deeper. I know that. That's okay. Okay. And I'm going to preview my toolpath, and this is what it's going to look like. It's going to leave those tabs there so this piece doesn't completely fall off. If I go to the 2D view, let's go back to toolpath. If I go to the 2D, see it's cutting on the outside of my line here. There is where the bit is. I know it said inside, but that's where it's cutting. So when it makes this cut, it's not, if I have it set on the other side, it's going to cut on here, and it might take more of the material off than I want. Okay, so I have that one cut. What I can do is, if I want at this point, I can, let's go back here. Let's say I like that. I can close this and I can hit save. Now we'll hit save toolpath again. Now I don't have my USB disk in, but if I had my USB in, I would find the USB, I would click on it, and then I would hit save, and it would save it to that USB. And then I could take it over to the machine. But that's only one of the two cuts that I want to make. So I'm saving that toolpath. Now I'm going to close this. Now I want to make this second toolpath. Okay, so I'm going to click on this so it's highlighted. I'm going to go profile again. I'm going to use the same bit. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to leave it at 0.76. End mill, I'm going to use 1/4 inch end mill. I'm going to do the inside again. Okay, now I have to add tabs again. So I'm going to put a tab here. I'm going to put one here. Okay, I'm going to close it. Let's call this top. We'll calculate it. It's going to say, wait a minute. This is a little deeper than what the thickness of your wood. Again, I'm going to say okay. I'm going to preview this toolpath, and it's going to cut that out. So now I would have to save this one. So I would close that. Top, I would save that, save toolpath. It would be top, and then I'd save it on the USB, that same USB I'm clicking over. So I'd save both of those here. Now that I have them both done, then I would take it over to I'd take that USB over to the machine. I would clamp it in. We have to find our center point, but that's what on the machine. We put our clamps where they'll hold this firmly. I don't really want one in this corner. I want that to cut off, so I might put one here, maybe here, possibly here and here. But certainly here, away where it's not going to they're not going to get hit. So I'll clamp those down, take it over to the machine, run the first one, which will cut this. Okay, then I need to go through the setup a little bit again, and then run the second tool path, which will cut this out. And then I have this piece cut out. And that's how I would cut shapes around the outside. Okay.